In this video, we're going to be going over the newest SMITE patch coming to the game, Queen of the Underworld, which obviously has the new goddess Persephone, which I believe that's how it's pronounced. Her kit is very complex, so I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. I guess we'll start with her passive, Pomegranate Seeds. She gains pomegranate seeds when her harvest plants wither. If she has more than 25 seeds, she can spend these to resist death. So we'll explain how to harvest that in a little bit with her abilities. But if you have 25 stored, and let's say someone kills you, for 8 seconds you become CC immune. You can't basically die, you just can't take damage. But you also deal 50% reduced damage, so it gives you basically one more chance to finish the kill, but you have to have at least 25 seeds. Now, whenever you back into the fountain, you sell every excess seed that you have up to 25. So if you have 26 seeds, you're only going to sell one, because you keep 25 to have that resist death. And it sells 3 gold per seed, and you can have up to 100 seeds. So, with her basic attacks, she has an AoE upon hitting a target that activates nearby harvest plants, which again we'll get into. It has a radius of 7.5. So the first ability, Bone Rust, this is going to basically give you a harvest plant as well. So you call forth the Skeletal Warrior of the Underworld, charges forward 35 units, or until it comes in contact with a god. After that happens, it's going to basically break and the bones are going to separate and deal damage to anything in its path. And at the very end of the path, the warrior's skull is going to basically plant, and that's going to become a harvest, or a seed that you can harvest. And how to harvest it is you just need to hit it with a basic attack. Once you do that, you're going to get a pomegranate seed, and that is how you harvest it. So it also is going to do 100 damage to 340 plus 80% of your magical power. It has a 12-second cooldown. Now for the next ability, Harvest, this is how you're going to basically get as many pomegranate seeds as you can. So you have up to 6 skulls that you can store at one time, and you can plant up to a maximum of 10, which I'm guessing is including from Bone Rush as well. So you can have a max of 10 out at one time, and you can store 6 at once. When you throw it out and you basic attack it, it's going to heal you for 22 to 50 plus 10% of your magical power. And it's obviously going to give you a seed. Now, if you let it sit there for 4 seconds, it's going to turn into a sprout. And if you hit it then, it's going to explode, dealing damage to the enemies nearby and slowing them. It will deal 60 to 260 explosion damage plus 70% of your magical power, so that's a good bit there. And it's going to slow for 30%. Now, if you wait for 24 seconds and you let it sit there for a while, so if you keep planting and you have 10 of these out and you let them sit there strategically, it's going to turn into a flower. If you hit them then, the flower is just going to chase down the nearest enemy for 3 seconds and bite them. It's going to deal 70 to 290 bite damage plus 80% of your magical power, so it's a little more powerful than the explosion. Actually, it could be a good bit more depending on how much magical power you have. And enemies hit by the harvest taker. Enemies hit by the actual flower are going to take reduced damage for an additional. Take reduced damage from additional hits, stacking 3 times. Okay. So the reduced damage is going to be 50, 75, and 87.5% reduced damage. So 24 seconds is a long time to wait. But that's a lot of reduced damage. After activation or 120 seconds, they wither. So you need to basically use them. You can't just keep them there the whole game, or for after a while. You get 120 seconds. So a lot there to take in, but basically just plant a lot and use Bone Rush, and make sure you always try to have 25 on you if you can. Which you are always going to, because the only way to get rid of them is to sell them in the store, and that keeps 25. So the only time it would get below 25 is if you die, and then I'm guessing it would reset and you'd have to get 25 more. So third ability, Flourish. This is going to be your escape. You can leap forward or backwards, and it's a very clear indicator, just whichever direction you're moving. And you're going to deal like explosion damage in a big area around you of 45. Now, any plants that are in this area are going to activate immediately, plus grow to their next stage. So if you have just a bone out, it's going to grow to the sprout. If you have a sprout, it's going to grow to the flower, and it's going to activate. So if you just throw a bunch down immediately, let them grow to the sprouts after 4 seconds, and activate Flourish, you're going to have a bunch of flowers just attacking. So pretty useful in combinations. And you can jump over walls with this, and backwards over walls. You just have to make sure you don't collide and you actually clear it. After using this ability, the next harvest plant is... Okay, yeah. So, oh no, after using this ability, the next harvest cast is pre-germinated and spawns as a sprout. So if you use Flourish, the next time you use harvest, it's immediately going to upgrade to the second one. And finally, the ultimate, Grasp of Death. Think of this as like a little bit of Ares ultimate mixed with Discordia, kinda. So you conjure this mass, well, we'll just read it. Conjures a mass of entrapping vines that she throws forward, entrapping the first enemy god or wall it touches. So you throw this big ball of vines, and if it touches an enemy god, it's going to encase them in vines and entrap them, which is a new CC. Entrap gods are crippled, rooted, and have reduced attack speed, so they just can't move. They're in this encasement of vines. And then the reason I say Ares is because the vines are going to extend and reach out and grab any nearby enemies and stop their movement. They can't go forward anymore. And if they, let's say they back up a little bit, it's like a chain. It just pulls you in. It doesn't pull you in, but if you move closer, that's now the furthest distance you can go. And if you keep moving in, eventually you just can't move at all. I know that's kind of weird and hard to explain and probably doesn't make sense, but I'll make a video in PTS later explaining it more detailed. So now you can also throw the ball at the wall and it's going to encase the wall as well, which of course isn't crippling any gods, but you're still going to get that explosion effect where it's going to grab enemies and keep them in place. So it's going to do 195 to 495 damage plus 75% of your power. The vine damage, I'm guessing that's the extension, is going to be 65 to 165 plus 30%. And the attack speed reduction is 20 to 30%. Lasts for 5 seconds and has a 90-second cooldown. Now, you can get out of the entrapment sooner than 5 seconds. You need to basic attack it, kind of like Kabrakan's ultimate. I think it's, I want to say 5 hits and then you're out, but of course you have that attack speed reduction, so other people can get you out as well, I believe. So that is it for Persephone. Very complex goddess. Like I said, PTS will go over a little more in depth for that. So for the first one, we have Star Tyrant Ares.
I discarded my flesh long ago. Now all that remains is cold, cruel metal.
And that'll be available in the Battle Pass number 9, as well as this Infinite Ruler Oleron.
I am a being of infinite energy. I do not need sustenance or food, but it doesn't stop me.
And then the third one in the number 9 is Pillow Fight Nike.
Bring it on, world! This dragon is not afraid of anything!
And the Spirit Guide Artio is the community celebration event. That's the reward at the end if everyone completes
Humans
it,
aren't too friendly to supernaturals. Maybe we should have stayed in the spirit realm.
And then of course, the Battle for Olympus final reward for collecting everything in the Battle for Olympus is the Winds of Change Kukulkan.
Do not worry about what you cannot control.
And then we have Calavera Scotty, I think that's how you say it, in the Calavera chest.
Caldo, old friend, are you ready to explore the land of the living? Because hopefully they welcome us with open arms.
The Gizmo Bologna will be in the Hyperdrive
All right,
chest.
friends, sharpen your tools. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
And then both Spooky Nightmares Cupid and a Spooky Dreams Kumbhakarna will be in the Spooky Squad chest.
I see the potential for so much fun!
Jeez, the space under people's beds are so messy nowadays. I can hardly fit under there.
And then we got a little plushy Kumbhakarna Easter egg right there. So Persephone comes out August 20th. That is going to be the release, as well as the Battle for Olympus 9 and the final reward and the community celebration event is going to start. So that's pretty much every skin except for the chest skins are going to be available then. Yeah. Hyperdrive chest with Bologna will be available on the 27th. The Calavera Scotti will be available on September 3rd, and then the Cupid and Kumbhakarna skin will be available on September 10th. We also have a bunch of bug fixes here. I'm not going to go over. If you want to pause and read them, you can. I never go over them because I just don't see a point. I will also link the patch notes down in the description if you want to read them all yourself. So for the Project Olympus, this is the community celebration event. It's going to start on August 23rd and it'll run to October 1st. It'll be completely free to all players. They will see 2 different progress bars. The blue bar is increased by the entire SMITE community playing games. The green bar is by playing your own games. So you unlock levels that the community has activated. You can only unlock levels that the community has activated. The final reward will be Spirit Guide RTO skin, winner of the year's community vote. So yeah, that'll be available whenever it finishes. I guess not on the actual date of release. So for console, the FOV, the field of view, I guess, has been increased to match PC. Adjusted controls while aiming up and down for better smoothness and ease of use. Aim assist only occurs if settings is enabled. Improved the general support for aiming friction. Friction now tries to use target shape on standard line and circle ground targets to help track targets. User interface updates added a timer in the end of match lobby that shows current queue time next to the play again button. Console players will now remain in the end of the match lobby when they use the play again button. Players now see visual feedback and icons for themselves when using the in-game Vivox voice communication system in lobby and in match. Custom game lists can now be scrolled through faster, added a better visual indicator on your own player name in custom lobbies. That's a lot of stuff there. New direct purchase skin options. A new deals section has been added to the new featured, or the next to the featured tab in the store. These new deals will always be a single direct purchase option. They will feature exclusive skins from the SMITE's history. Deals will be the same for all players, and it'll rotate roughly every 7 days and is subject to change. Please watch for announcements on the next rotation dates and times. Daily bundles will be located here as well. The bundles, rules, and functionality have not changed. Next we have the item balances. So for Arendite, it has a increased physical power from 55 to 65. Fail Not decreased the crit chance from 25% to 20% and fixed an issue where the buff was not applying to non-god targets. Pridwen decreased the physical protections from 40 to 30 and the magical protections as well from 40 to 30. Dynasty Plate Helm decreased the magical power from 55 to 50 and the protections from 35 to 30. Emerald Ring gets an increased power from 20 to 25, but removed 3% of the movement speed. Enchanted Ring gets a cost reduction from 1200 to 1100, but removed 5% of the movement speed. Demonic Grip gets an increased magic power from 65 to 75, but removed 7% of the movement speed. Telekine's Ring increased the attack speed from 20% to 25%, but removed 10% movement speed, and the passive increased damage magical power scaling from 10% to 15%. Shaman's Ring and Evolved Shaman's Ring gets an increased cost from 2400 to 2500, increased the magical power from 100 to 110, added 10% cooldown, removed the 10% movement speed, and they increased the duration of debuff mark on enemies from 5 seconds to 10 seconds for the passive. Katana gets a 2% movement speed reduction, Thousandfold Blade 3% movement speed reduction. Masumin gets a increased health from 100 to 150, but a movement speed reduction from 10% to 3%. A lot of movement speed reductions on like every item. Stone Cutting Sword, again, movement speed reduction 10% to 7%. Bumba's Mask increased the damage taken from 10% to 15% and decreased the damage dealt as well from 10% to 15%. So that is it for the items. For gods, Anubis base HP increased from 350 to 380, and his HP per level increased from 66 to 70. Grasping Hands gets a mana cost reduction, used to be 70 to 90, is now 60 to 80. The cooldown used to be 15 to 11, is now 14 to 10. Arachne's Venomous Bite gets a decreased base healing per tick. It used to be 10 to 50 plus 10% is now 8 to 40 plus 8%. Web gets her web also gets a decreased slow from 25% to 15%. I was confused there because there wasn't a percentage. Chiron base stats gets an increased base attack speed from 1.1 to 1.4. Pretty good increase there for him. Masterful Shot increased the slow from 25% is now 25 to 35%. Chronos gets an accelerate, Chronos Accelerate gets decreased initial movement speed from 25% to 15%. Hera's Polymorph increased the damage from 60 to 240 is now 80 to 240. Circle of Protection on Isis decreased the mitigations from 25% to 20% at all ranks. Giannis finally getting, wow, it's been a while for a Giannis change, I think. Unstable Vortex decreased the cooldown from 10 seconds to 9 seconds. Jormungandr's Consuming Bellow fixed a bug where the bonus damage of the ability was not benefiting from the magical power scaling properly, and it also decreased the magical power scaling of the initial hit from 50% to 45%, and the bonus damage from 10% to 5%. Oleron gets an increase of his base health from 400 to 450, and Focus Light gets a base damage increased. Used to be 100 to 260, is now 100 to 280. So that is it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like and hit subscribe for more content. The PTS is already updated, so I'm going to get working on the videos for the new skins and obviously the new goddess. So be on the lookout for that, and thank you for watching.